There's an argument that's passed by the JavaScript engine into every single event handler, and this is something I kind of glanced over in the previous lecture, so let's talk about it now. I am located in the script.js file, which is located in the lecture 55 folder. Let me go ahead and close the file browser of Sublime, and the first thing we'll do is let's go ahead and log the event. Let's go ahead and say console.log, and let's go ahead and log the event. We print it out, and let's say it, and we see that the object that event is a mouse event. If we open that up, actually, we'll see there's a whole bunch of properties that this mouse event has. It's a client X, client Y, where where the X and Y coordinate was on the page. There is the movement, page X, there's the path, there's the screen X, screen Y, which is the location of the X coordinate vis-a-vis the entire screen. There's the shift key, which tells us whether or not the shift key was being pressed down at the time that the click happened. So even though we haven't really used the event object, this is something that's passed into every event handler. Let's take a look at the API documentation for event, and we'll see what it actually gives us. Let's go to the event. And this is the event page of the Mozilla Developer Network. And it talks about all kinds of events that can happen. And obviously, depending on the type of event that happens, either a key press, so it's some kind of interaction with the keyboard, or a mouse press or a mouse move, which is interaction with the mouse, you're going to have different types of events. It's going to be different types of objects that contain different type of properties that are related to that type of event. So you can see here, for example, we have a keyboard event object that's probably related to keyboard events. And there's also a mouse event object, and again, that's related to the mouse events. So I clicked on it, and it gives you a whole bunch of different properties of the mouse event that is passed into you, and explains to you every single one of them as what they do. So there's the client X and client Y. And it tells you the client X is the X coordinate of the mouse pointer in the local DOM content coordinates. If we scroll down, there's also should be a shift key, the shift key property, and it returns true if the shift key was down when the mouse event fired. Now there are different types of mouse events. There's mouse out, mouse over, mouse move. If we click on mouse move, basically what it tells you is that mouse move event is fired when a pointing device, usually a mouse, is moved while over an element. Let's go ahead and try to implement a different type of behavior. Let's go ahead and implement a console.log. We're going to log to the console client X and client Y position of the mouse pointer, but only when I press the shift key and move the mouse over any part of the body element. Let's make this back into a little bit of a smaller screen. Let's go back to our page, and we'll go ahead and clear that. So what we're going to do is we're going to create yet another event listener. So here we have an event listener called say hello, and we're actually assigning it right here, and we're going to create another one. And we're going to create another one exactly the same way. We'll say document dot query selector, and this time we'll say on the entire body. And I want to add event listener, and event listener I want to add is mouse move. So it's mouse move, and notice since I'm using the add event listener, it's not on mouse move, it's just mouse move. And then let's go ahead and put a semicolon at the end so we don't forget. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a function, and the function is going to get an event, obviously, by the JavaScript engine. And in this function, what we want to do is we want to do console.log the event.clientX, and again console.log event.clientY. So if we save that now, and as I start moving the mouse over, you will see that we're logging where my mouse is moving. We're logging the X and Y coordinates. Now, we didn't really specify what they are, so it's a little hard to tell. It's probably a better idea to do something like this. X is this, and Y is that. That's probably a little bit better. So now when we mouse over, at least we see X and Y. Okay, but what we wanted to do is we wanted to only log this when I press the shift key down. So in our function, in our event handler, what we're going to do is we're going to put an if statement. We're going to say if event.shift, and I can't remember what the name is, so we'll go ahead and look this up. Let's go back and look up the property names called shift key, just like that. So we'll say event shift key equals true. If that's the case, that's when we're going to log this. Otherwise, we're just going to ignore this mouse move event completely. Okay, so we'll do this. We'll position it like that. And now let's go ahead and save that. Let's go back to our browser. And now you see when I'm moving my mouse around, nothing really happens. But if I press the shift key, which obviously you can't see, and start moving the mouse around, all of a sudden the mouse move is printing out the client X and client Y coordinates. So if I let go of the shift key, see, the mouse move event handler is no longer printing out the X and Y coordinates because the if statement is basically saying skip it because the shift key property is not equal to true.